Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I am ranking the films of Quentin Tarantino. He's only done 10 films, which is kind of crazy, starting in like an early, he's done films for over a little 30 years, only 10 movies to his filmography, so a pretty easy filmography to go through, and a lot of these are pretty big movies too, each year, because he makes so little movies. It feels like anytime a movie comes out, it seems like a big event, and everybody's hyped up for it. He's definitely very famous. I didn't look everything up about Tarantino, but I know he's won several Oscars, I believe, for screenwriting. I want to say he's won at least 2, maybe 3 Oscars for his screenwriting. He's been nominated for directing as well. A number of his movies have been nominated for Best Picture. His movies are so unique to Tarantino. I feel like when you watch a Tarantino film, for the most part, you know it's a Tarantino film just by the style. He has a very unique style to his to how he does movies. Not just the way he shoots them, but the dialogue. The dialogue is very interesting. I feel like his strongest point actually is more of a screenwriter than a director, and also just the way he writes dialogue is so good at times. I think that's definitely his biggest strength. What I enjoy about some of his films. I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan. I know a lot of people love Tarantino. A lot of people put him as maybe their favorite director or one of the all-time great directors. I'm not there, though. He's a bit of hit or miss for me. His movies are a bit over the top violence, and I don't like all the violence sometimes, and there's some pretty gruesome stuff that happens in movies I'm not a fan of. Also drugs, sex, lots of cursing. I am a little turned off by the amount of cursing. What's the word? Off-putting, that's not right. Just images I don't want to see. He does in his movies. So his movies are they go a little too far, I think, as far as rated R, quality goes. And so a lot of times I'm not a huge fan of his stuff. His movies, a lot of movies, there's just so much dialogue in them. And sometimes I get a little bored with scenes where there's just lots of scenes with just long dialogue, scenes where the plot's not really moving. We're just sitting in a scene with 2 characters talking forever. I think he does have a problem with that at times in his movies, but he does come up with some very unique ideas, and he does pay homage to movies of the past too, which is kind of cool. And of course, he's probably well known for his music choices in his movies as well. Anyway, and he almost always makes a cameo in his movies as well, which is interesting. But let's get to it's like a top 10, but it's the 10 movies of Quentin Tarantino. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday afternoon, kind of evening period actually getting to. And to say it's getting really hot in Kansas. If you can see my hair, I've been sweating quite a bit today. Just walk outside and I just start sweating. It's just getting really, really warm. Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino. Like I said, I'm not like a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. I would say the top, really my top 3 movies are probably the only 3 movies I really like and would watch multiple times. Most everything else, it's like a one-time watch, and I never care to watch again. So, but you have to acknowledge that he has made a big impact in movies, and I feel like it's one of those things where, especially to me, Pulp Fiction was. I remember when that came out, and that was a big deal. I remember the trailers being very unique. The bum 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 bum. I can't do the music, but that song that comes on anytime you hear Pulp Fiction, and then the images of, John Travolta dancing, the things like those are images you see. And and I remember people talking about it. It was pretty hyped up, and I feel like that's like his second movie, and that's when Quentin Tarantino was really kind of became a household name and kind of blew up as a director, and everybody's like, whoa, who's this Tarantino? It feels like ever since Pulp Fiction, other directors have tried to make movies kind of like Pulp Fiction. So it's one of those things where he really influenced other directors, I think, and screenwriters in what he did anyways. But anyways, Let's go to number 10. Number 10 on my list is Death Proof. This is maybe the last movie I think I saw of his when I was trying to do this list. There was like only, I saw about every movie except for two of them, and they're my bottom two movies. Actually, the two worst movies are the last two movies I actually finally got around to watching of his. And yeah, Death Proof is a weird one because it was like, I remember it came out because it was part of this two-package film, which I'm forgetting what it was called, but he directed one movie, and then I think, what's his name? Rodriguez, I think his name is, directed the other movie, which was like a zombie horror, like action movie. And Tarantino made this movie, Death Proof, so it was like a two-in-one kind of movie, I think, at the time. But I guess as part of his filmography, they count Death Proof as part of his filmography. You know, it's like half of a two-part movie or something like that. Anyway, so I watched this movie on its own, streaming wise, and yeah, I thought this movie was horrible. I didn't get it at all. It was so boring. There's long scenes of women talking about nonsense, nothing to really do with the plot. They're just, and Tarantino kind of likes doing that, having dialogue scenes that have nothing to do with the plot that are just interesting and kind of funny, and I guess get you more character development maybe, but really it's just nonsense. And sometimes it can be fun, but in this case, I thought the dialogue was terrible. And it's weird. The movie is cut kind of in two different sections, and the whole movie is it kind of just, it follows these young girls as they go out to a diner, and they're just having these, like I said, endless nonsense conversations. And then at the diner, you meet this guy played by Kurt Russell, who is a stunt man, and I think they call him like Stuntman Dan or something like that. Anyways, and he was like a legitimate like stunt man, but if you know anything about the movie, of course, he's kind of the killer. He's kind of like a serial killer. He likes killing young women, and I don't think we ever get really a motivation on why he does it. And it's weird because it's like he's really a stuntman. Like he worked as a stuntman, the character, and why is he a serial killer now or whatever, targeting young women? I don't know. But the first half is about just him stalking these women at this diner, basically, and getting to know them. And then when they get in their car, he has like a stuntman car that he can crash into other cars and kill people and survive, I guess. That's his whole thing, anyways. So spoiling the movie a little bit, but he does crash into this girl's car and kills them. It's the most violent scene in the movie. It's pretty violent how they die and how he shows them getting killed by. And he almost kills himself, which makes no sense. Like, why would you risk your life to kill these girls? For what reason? I don't know. Well, anyways, that's like the first half of the movie. So it's pointless. Like, they introduce you all these characters and they kill them off. I know I'm spoiling it, but then the second half of the movie, we get introduced to another group of women, and they're just endless nonsense conversations. And again, we get Stuntman Dan, whatever. I know, I can't remember that's a name or whatever, but Kurt Russell, he then stalks them and tries to kill them with his car. And there's this whole car chase scene anyways. And yeah, it just makes no sense. The dialogue is stupid. The whole story is stupid. There's nothing enjoyable about it. So yeah, 10, Death Proof, by far the worst one in this group. Number 9 is Jackie Brown. And this might be a surprise because I hear a lot of people love this movie. It's one of their favorite Tarantino movies, and it's considered like maybe the underrated movie. And it's the reason why I never seen this, because I feel like I remember this coming out in theaters, but I feel like it didn't make that big of an impact. I don't remember people talking about this movie. I felt like it kind of came and went, and it's not one of the Tarantino. It didn't get nominated for really a whole lot. I think it got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for Forrest, I think his name is, the kind of insurance detective guy, whatever he was. Besides that, yeah, it just didn't make much of an impact. But then I hear people go, "Oh, this is so good." So I see Jackie Brown. So I'm like, okay, I finally got around to watching Jackie Brown. Yeah, it was another really boring movie and a very uninteresting story, I guess. And it really didn't have that really cool Tarantino dialogue. Like I said, Tarantino's so good at writing dialogue. I didn't think the dialogue was that good. Like, I wasn't really into these long dialogue scenes that just went on and droned on and on. It kind of went nowhere for me. And it was, the story just didn't really, I don't know, I didn't care about it. Samuel Jackson is definitely like the highlight of the movie. Like, he was good as the villain. he's this gangster, I think from Florida, and he's trying to get money or something from some, I don't know. And so then he's trying to kill some people. He kills a lot of people in the movie. And anyways, and they're trying to get this money, and there's a stewardess who's carrying the money, but then she gets stopped by police, and one was Michael Keaton, which was cool to see Michael Keaton here. I thought he was good. And then there's this other guy that's like helping investigate. Anyways, I'm just, I can't remember everything exactly. I just remember it just being a story. I was having a hard time really kind of following what was going on, and didn't really care about any of the characters. Robert De Niro shows up and he just sits around and says nothing. It's weird. I'm like, why'd you bring like Robert De Niro, who's considered, one of the great actors, and he hardly talks or does anything in the movie? And it's like, whoa, what a waste of time for a great actor to be in. Anyways, but I don't know. I just didn't care about any part of this movie or the characters, or yeah, it just didn't have any quirky, quick wit dialogue either that would kind of keep me in a movie like this. And I don't know, it was a big miss for me. So yeah, Jackie 9, number 9 here for me. Number 8, I have The Hateful Eight. Which is a good number for it. It's called The Hateful Eight, and it's at number 8 on my list. Yeah, this one I remember coming out, and it's a Western. It's like the only Western he did, so it's kind of cool. Again, it's kind of interesting when he goes into these different genres, and he does some, and he kind of almost plays homage to the past genres. So this is a Western, and uh, it is long. It is way too long. I remember watching, going, man, this movie is so long. You have a great cast, of course. Again, Samuel L. Jackson's always great in these roles. Kurt Russell's here again, and he's pretty great. Got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, and I'm forgetting her name. That's in it, and she plays this vile like murderer character who, in as I said, what's his name? Russell is the bounty hunter that's like taking her to custody to get money, and he runs into like I said, runs into, now I'm forgetting names, I just said them. Jackson, Samuel Jackson's character, who's also a bounty hunter, I think. And then they get this snowstorm, so they all get into this bar, store, or whatever place. And there's other characters there, and they're kind of, waiting out the snowstorm. And while they're there, there's some twists and turns of some other murderers trying to free this prisoner. And of course, Kurt Russell's like, nobody come close to my prisoner. I'm going to kill you because this is my bounty and no one else takes it. And you got people like Walter Goggins here who I really like. Yeah, really good cast of characters overall. But the movie, again, and the dialogue, it has some of the quippy dialogue and some good performances. But man, it's an ugly movie. Like, there's some really gruesome stuff that happened in this movie that's like, it's just, I don't know, it just makes me feel gross. I don't know. And the characters are so horrible. Like, every single character does horrible things that you're like, wow, this is a horrible character. There's like not one really good, likable character you're like, that you can really hang your hat on and go, yeah, I like this character. I want to see them get through this, this movie. Even Kurt Russell, who's supposed to be kind of the good guy, he's the bounty hunter that's taking in this prisoner, but he's so abusive. He's constantly punching her in the face, and she's got this like bloodied up face. And I'm like, okay, I know she's a murderer, but she's still a woman. Like, I still don't like seeing this woman get abused physically over and over again by Kurt Russell. I don't know. It just put me off. Again, there's some violent scenes. There's a scene, some flashback scenes, like with Samuel Jackson. There's a flashback scene that he kind of tortures this person, and it's gross. I don't know. I didn't like the subject matter overall, and I just didn't like any of the characters. It was too long. It was kind of a boring story overall. So yeah, here at number 8 is The Hateful Eight. Number 7, this is his first movie, and this is Reservoir Dogs. This is another movie that's number 1 on a lot of people's lists. People love Reservoir Dogs. I didn't care for it. Again, this is this whole movie about these bank robbers who get caught, and so they have a shootout, and the ones that survive get together at this warehouse. They're kind of where they're supposed to meet up, and they think one of them is a snitch or a narc or an inside guy for the police, that they're actually working with the police, and they, because the police were ready for them at this when they're robbing this bank, so they know somebody must have tipped off the police. So then they're trying to figure it out, and they caught one of the police officers. And the famous scene is I forget his name now, but one of the guys, he's torturing this guy with a knife, and he cuts his ear, and it's all to this "stuck in the middle with you." It's all done, and the guy's like dancing to the song as he's torturing this guy with a knife. That's kind of the famous scene, It's very, and so yeah, it's again another gruesome. Again, Tarantino likes to do gruesome. It's another pretty gruesome movie in that sense, the violence and everything. And there is one character who is in Narc, and they kind of figure out. I think Tim Roth is in it. Harvey Keitel, Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi is probably my favorite character here. He's actually pretty funny at times. One of the maybe funniest scenes is talking about tipping, and he says, "I don't tip." And then and there's this whole thing where everybody's named after a color: Mr. Green, Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink. And he's like, "I don't want to be Mr. Pink." And he's like, "You're Mr. Pink." And so there's some okay dialogue there, but as a story, it's like I didn't really care for it. It's just a lot of it's just them in a. The majority of the movie is just them in this warehouse trying to figure out who's the narc, whatever, So it wasn't that interesting, and the ending is very interesting in a way. It's one of the more memorable endings to a movie. We're like, wow, that just happened, and but it's really not satisfying. It just kind of ends, and you're like, okay, who cares? I don't know. It didn't make much of an impact on me, and it was kind of boring, and I don't know, I didn't care for the characters, so. Yeah, for me, I don't know. People love it. I didn't. That's where we got Reservoir Dogs at number 7. Number 6, we got one of his, I think this is the last movie he made. And that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, and this is a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are kind of the stars of this movie. Brad Pitt wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Margot Robbie is also in the movie, playing Sharon Tate, and uh, it got nominated for Best Picture, and I think maybe Best Director. It got, I think several. I think Margot Robbie might have got a Best Supporting Actress nomination. Anyways, it's an interesting kind of retelling of a story that never happened. It's a fictional character. Leonardo DiCaprio plays an actor who's kind of he's a washed up actor, kind of. He's not as famous as he used to be, so it's kind of a take on what they do, and they do these B movies, and he's kind of like upset that he's no longer like a big time actor, but then he realizes that he can still be good even though he's not a big name anymore. He still tries to do the best job he can in these movies. And Brad Pitt's his like best friend, who's also his driver, and his backstory is kind of interesting because he's also used to be a stuntman, and he's a good fighter and all this stuff, and kind of as a bodyguard. And we kind of see him as he happens upon the Charles Manson family, and that's the big part of this movie, is it deals with the Charles Manson part of the movie. And interesting that we get what's her name? We get the girl that's in The Substance. We also get the girl that's in Anora. As part of the Charles Manson family, which is very interesting. But anyways, so we deal with this whole Charles Manson thing because Sharon Tate gets murdered by Charles Manson. But this movie rewrites history where that doesn't happen. In fact, the Charles Manson family happens upon Brad Pitt's character's house instead of Sharon Tate's house, and he ends up like killing them. It's probably the best scene of the whole movie is the ending scene. Not to spoil too much, but he gets attacked by the Charles Manson family, and he kills them pretty gruesomely. That's definitely the most violent, gruesome part of the movie. We're like, ew, that was a bit much. And even DiCaprio gets involved, and he has a flamethrower, which is kind of funny because he had a flamethrower in a movie. And so, anyways, and they're also like super high because they took this very high dosage of delusional medicine that makes it hallucinate. Anyway, so it's a very fun scene overall. Most of it, though, to me was really boring. Again, wasn't a big fan of this one. I know people really like this one too, but some of the dialogue was good. There's some interesting scenes like the Brad Pitt fighting Bruce Lee was kind of interesting idea. And just his backstory is kind of interesting. And Brad Pitt was very good in it. And DiCaprio was very good too. I think performance-wise, actually, Margot Robbie was good. So it was some good performances. The movie just kind of goes, like, when he happens upon the Charles Manson family, it really has not much to do with the plot. It's just kind of the side plot that happens. And then there's like scenes where like DiCaprio's like acting in a movie, and you're really seeing a lot of it, and like, okay, let's move on. Like, there's definitely, again, the big problem I have with Tarantino is a lot of scenes just go on too long of just people talking and nothing's really happening, and the plot's not being moved, and the pacing's not very good. I think that's my problem with the movie. It does feel a little long. The pacing's not very good until the very end. It gets kind of interesting and exciting and all of that. So I don't know. I don't think it was that great of a movie. I don't think it was worthy of a Best Picture kind of style movie compared to some of his other better stuff, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know what to say much more about it, except yeah, and even like the Margot Robbie stuff, like her at parties like that was not that interesting. Interesting idea of rewriting history, you know. Wish that would have happened. Wish that Charles Manson's family would have got murdered and not would have murdered all those people. But anyways, still not a good enough movie for me to put too high on my list. So it's number 6, kind of in the middle.